Today, we're going to be talking about how to sound like Paul McCartney. See you inside the video. Hey, it's James here from eBassGuitar, and welcome to another episode of our Real World Bass Heroes podcast interview series. And I'm super excited to welcome Jaz Moss back. How are you doing, Jaz?
I'm good, James. Thanks for having me.
So I was chatting to Jaz a few weeks back, and he let something slip, that he was a massive Paul McCartney fan. Now, those of you who've been following this channel for a while will know that the first ever big gig that I saw, 1989, Wembley Arena, was the Paul McCartney band of that period. So he's been a huge influence for me, and he's been a huge influence for so many of our subscribers on this channel and the students over at eBassGuitar. So I thought I'd ask Jaz, what are the 4 reasons, or why is Paul McCartney so genius? We're going to answer that inside this video. Guys, we're not going to hang around today. We're going to get straight into it. But first off, I just want you to know there's a completely free PDF that comes with this lesson, so you can see everything written out in standard notation and tablature. Link in the description below. Let's get on with it. So Jaz, as I said a moment ago, there are 4 reasons you think Paul McCartney is genius. What are they?
Okay, so number 1, my favorite thing about Paul McCartney is his melodic approach to the bass guitar. So you can tell he's a singer as well. As some of these lines we're going to be playing today are so melodic, they're almost counter melodies to the vocal melody.
So Paul McCartney is super melodic. What song do you think showcases this?
I think the best song that showcases this is Something. There's lots of space and Paul McCartney is playing within the melody. So we're going to take the first verse and I'm just going to play through the first verse and you can see how melodic Paul's playing is.
So what an extraordinary bass line. The counter melodies there are absolutely extraordinary. So let's move on to reason number 2. What have you got for us?
So reason number 2 is Paul's bass lines, or some of these bass lines we're going to be looking at, are so memorable. So just by hearing the bass line, you'll know what the song is.
The interesting thing is the drum parts are like that too. I heard Ringo's drum parts being demonstrated too, and you can hear the melody in that. For me, listening to this, every instrument is a sum of its parts and incredibly memorable too.
Yes, I totally agree. And to demonstrate this, I've actually chosen Come Together.
So Jaz, we're just about to hit reason number 4, and this video is called How to Sound Like Paul McCartney. Now, the playing elements to Paul McCartney are absolutely crucial, but so is the equipment and the gear too. I want to ask you a specific question. If you don't have a 6-inch Hofner violin bass or a Rickenbacker bass, which strange enough you don't have there, how can you still sound like Paul McCartney?
So yeah, I don't actually own a Hofner bass. I am definitely on the lookout for one. But what I've done here is actually I've put a sponge to try and create this short decay on the notes. And then I've also rolled off the tone. I've got a P bass here, so I've rolled off the tone. You can do the same on a jazz bass. If you have a jazz bass, I'd probably roll to the neck pickup to get that warmer sound.
Are there any other elements to this sound that you can advise?
Well, Paul did play fingerstyle and with a pick, but for most of these bass lines he did play with a pick, so I'm going to be playing with a pick today.
So what strings are you using there?
So these strings, I can't remember the name because I put them on maybe 2 years ago. So they're very, very dead round wounds. But if I had the choice, I'd probably put flat wounds on to get that Paul vibe.
So as you can see, there are clearly a ton of ways that you can get that legendary Paul McCartney sound. Let's move on to reason number 3 you think Paul McCartney's genius.
So for this reason, I've picked rhythm. So there's different elements of music, but I think rhythmically, Paul has some amazing, rhythmically interesting bass lines. And the example bass line I've picked is Hey Bulldog.
Cool, let's check that out. We got to reason number 4. What's that?
Reason number 4 is harmony. Now, as you know, Paul is an amazing multi-instrumentalist, and I always say this to my students, the piano is the king of harmony. It's a very visual way of looking at harmony. So in this line here, I can hear the influences that he had from learning piano, and he's kind of applied that to the bass guitar.
So what song have you chosen?
I've chosen Dear Prudence.
So Jaz has given you 4 really fantastic reasons why Paul McCartney is genius, and also some killer tips on how to sound like Paul McCartney gear-wise. So we got 2 tasks for you. What is the first task, Jaz?
So the first task is you can actually click the link below. I've actually created a Spotify link so you can listen to all 4 of these songs. If you listen to the whole thing, you'll start to really understand Paul's methodology and playing. And what's the next task?
And the next task is to let us know what is your favorite Paul McCartney bass line and why. Let us know in the comments below. So guys, that's the end of today's video. I just want to say a massive thank you to Jaz for coming back.
Thank you, James.
And make sure you check out some more Paul McCartney videos that we've got on our YouTube channels. We put links up here that you can click to check them out.